Welcome to this second special series webinar dedicated mostly to the MENA region, so Middle East and North Africa, because more and more schools, institutions want to embark on the very interesting and challenging journey of accreditation. So today we're going to talk about leadership and quality assurance and hoping to share some best practices with you. I'll go. So we are HEADway Advisory, a consulting firm specialized in higher education institutions with four major activities, the main one being strategy. Any strategy concerns institutions may have, we can address. HEADway People is executive search and everything related to HR. Quality and accreditation, that's my department, where we help schools with their accreditation processes and quality processes. So right in the subject. And the last one is information and data. We publish a weekly newsletter and we produce surveys and, white papers, everything like that. So I'm Mélanie Cadart. I'm the director of HEADway Quality Accreditation, and it is my tremendous pleasure to welcome again Helmi HAMMAMI, who's Dean of ESLSCA. So Helmi, I will let you introduce yourself. I will stop sharing my screen and then you can share yours for your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mélanie, for your kind words and for the presentation. I'm glad to join once again this series of webinars organized by HEADway and led by Mélanie. I am the Dean of ESLSCA University in Cairo, and the purpose of me joining here is basically to share some insights about the richness of the region in relationship with accreditations and quality assurance in general, because definitely when we lead these projects with the standards that we know, it's always interesting to get some cultural lenses to put things into perspectives. Today, let me find my slides. I was just sharing the slides with Mélanie, and I hope things will work well. Do you see my slides? I think yes.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. So basically, the topic of today of this series of webinars will be about leading accreditations and institutional transformation, wearing the lenses of the Middle Eastern perspective. Once again, this is the picture of from my office. Let me tell you. It is not really so, but definitely from my office I can see the pyramids, Mélanie. Just to put things in perspective, so we have some strategic imperatives. All right, today, if we are leading like an accreditation project in general, and by the way, please, if you have some interventions, some questions, feel free to send them to Mélanie on the chat or to intervene directly to enrich the debate. Questions are most welcome because the subject is large, is complex, and definitely the debate will enrich what we are doing. So some strategic imperatives, I would say, to better grasp the accreditation and the quality assurance in the academic system we are living in. So today, accreditation is not merely, or it is not just a compliance item that we put in perspective, but definitely, it gives too many, how we call it in French, atouts or advantages from which, the competitive advantage of distinctiveness, the internationalizations, the institutional reconnaissance, and the institutional resilience. Accreditation is not being in an office and dealing with paperwork like many people could think. Definitely, when we talk about quality assurance, we are dealing with people. When we talk about managing faculty, when we talk about the standards about faculty and the standards about, I would say, where Mélanie is the expert in here, the assessment of learning, we are dealing with various stakeholders, right? And this is a very complex task, let me tell you, because, you know, in organizational behavior, that's what I call here, I'm wearing my hat as professor. This is what we call, you know, the normative integration. So people have to be aligned into the norms so that we understand each other, so that we take this accreditation project to the next level. So definitely dealing with students, dealing with faculty members, dealing with non-academic staff is very important, and also dealing with external stakeholders is also important. So just to contextualize where accreditations and quality assurance are into this context. Of course, I'll take it from my perspective and the position I have right now, and the position several other colleagues who are leading accreditation offices have. Accreditations is about cadence, is about getting the rhythm if you would like to lead transformation and transformative from the roots, transformation of the organizations you are leading. So this is a very nice framework. Quality assurance is a very nice framework, and it's a very nice strategic positioning if you would like to lead deep-rooted transformation, I would say. Of course, accreditation goes beyond the compliance, beyond the check boxes. It's more of a strategic project for the institution where everybody must contribute. And when I say everybody, it's literally everybody, from the finance to the IT, to the faculty members, to the students, to the support staff, everybody, right? When we go for self-study is strategic atu. It's strategic diagnosis for the institution, because as if you are auditing yourself, right? So if we take it from this perspective, self-study becomes like a self-assessment of where you are by reference to what you should be. And it's helpful, you know, to put it into a strategic perspective for your institution. Of course, accreditation about institutional change. We like it or we dislike it. It's like that. It's a framework that accelerates and helps the institutional change, and it helps, you know, to go beyond the organizational myopia and the inertia that usually we see into the organization. Putting this into the context of Middle East, it's another layer of challenge, because leading accreditations in France is different from leading accreditation in Egypt. Which is different from leading accreditations in the UK, let me tell you, which is different from leading accreditation in a Chinese context, for instance. So the cultural norms are different, definitely a code that we have to take into account where we are engaging in such a project. I like this picture, honestly speaking, and I decided to put it. So here you have like the big gap between an institution that is short-sighted. This is where we are in our comfort zone. This is how we do things. And the institution who decided to go the further mile, right? And definitely this goes through embedding into your routines, quality assurance techniques, processes, engaging your stakeholders, etc. And the difference for those of you certainly who lead the accreditations processes and who lead the quality assurance, it's really a big change. It's really totally different when you engage in such a project. And by the way, because I've been asked this question, Dr. Helmi, we're going to get the accreditation in 1 year. No, you cannot, definitely not. You know, accreditation is about embedding a culture of doing things properly through processes, through routines, and through engagement from all the stakeholders.
If I may, Helmi, I've been asked several times if there was a software where we could just put in the data and it would just produce the reports, you know? And it shows you how misunderstood the accreditation process is. And it's really important to, like you said, it's not about compliance. It's not just about obtaining that accreditation, but it's also about embarking your institution towards quality, towards continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, I think, is the key, like the strong link of the chain here. But it always amuses me. I say, no, you cannot do that.
Yeah, no, definitely, Mélanie. I mean, thank you for raising this important command, because yes, we all, I mean, all of us around this table, I presume, you know, at a certain point, we've all been confronted to the same question. How long will it take to take the accreditation? Actually, before asking the question, putting the accreditation project in your strategic plan is already a big move. And I mean, it's a big move, you know, and I mean it. Because when you go for accreditations, you put into perspective how would you improve for the upcoming 4 to 5 years. It is not an end per se, but it is a series of small steps that gets you to be better and to get your institution to the next level at all levels. You see, you take whatever accreditation body, for instance, you know, I'll step into your field, Mélanie, and if you may add if you wish. For instance, we are talking about assessment of learning outcomes. People, they are always scared of assessment of learning outcomes. Okay, we all agree that the task is big, but definitely if you put it as a strategic project over, you know, having an assessment cycle, for instance, over like a couple of years, 4 semesters, why not? It's a matter of putting your metrics the way it should be. Definitely, you're not just dealing with Excel spreadsheets or the software, as you said, Mélanie, you said it well. You're dealing with the faculty members, your students, the reporting of the exams, the sampling, and. But of course, it is not just a matter of, on a push of a button, I'll have everything over there. No, it is not. It is not on a push of button. You put it strategically, you extract the data you need, and we'll see it in a couple of slides, you know, where the importance of the data lays. The data is essential into this kind of project. And based on the extracted data that you have, you will correct the target, or you will adjust, I would say, the target so that you move to the next level. Okay, so definitely here we are speaking the same language with you, Mélanie, and with the colleagues. The key, I would say, expression here is the continuous improvement. It's strategic continuous improvement, and here it's mentioned strategic institutional change. Of course, yeah, culture. We cannot go out of culture, right? As I said it. Leading an accreditation project or quality assurance project in the Middle East is different from any other country in Europe. It's different from North America, where all the story of accreditation, you know, somehow, 50 years back or more, all the story of accreditations has started, right? And before I dive into the 5 boxes in here, allow me to say that when I say Middle East, it's kind of simplification of the concept, because Middle East itself is different. Egypt is different from Morocco. Morocco is different from Algeria. Algeria is different from Qatar, or is different from the United Arab Emirates. Both of them are different from Saudi. There are like general guidelines that, yes, these countries, they have in common, but definitely, you know, when you live in the region and you start digging into that, things are different. I lived in the Gulf region, and I can tell you, running a university in the Gulf is totally different from running a university here in Egypt. One single difference is that in the Gulf, yes, you'll have too many people, Middle Eastern people coming, etc. But let me tell you, the myriad of understanding of the concepts is totally different from what I'm living here in Egypt. Of course, it's different from Europe, right? But here I tried to simplify, honestly speaking, because the subject is very complex, and I got basically what several studies said about the Middle East and the traits of culture in the Middle East in general, from which Hofstede and others, right? So, for instance, if we talk about hierarchy is very important in here, right? And actually, by the way, because people, they ask me, it is different, it is better, it is worst. No, there is no better and worst. Let's be clear on something, there is no better and there is no worst. There is a context that you adjust to, right? So here, if we're talking about hierarchy is very important. The role of leader in a context like Egypt is very important, right? Because if the ideas are not cautioned by the leader, the ideas is not pushed by the leader himself or herself, it doesn't go anywhere. It's like that, The power distance is different from what we see in the Netherlands. It's different from what we see in China. But definitely a central figure in any project is the leader. The hierarchy is very important. The authority is very important in here, right? Then you have the collectivism. So here we live in a collectivistic society, People, they are always with each other. Here, the surprise of many people, many colleagues who have been in the region for many years, they are surprised that there is almost, I would say, no boundaries between personal and professional life. People that can call you at any time, This is a collectivistic society. See what I mean? Your phone number is different from your phone in France. In France, you can just I'm taking the example of France because I come from there. But definitely, if you are in an organization, you have colleagues, etc., unless you are really, really close friends, you do not disclose your phone number. Your phone number is personal. It's almost your identity or your personality, right? Here, it's just the opposite way around. First meeting, first contact with people, your phone number is with everybody, And if you don't do so, there is a big question mark. You'll be some kind of out of the community, I would say. So we are in a collectivistic society. Getting people on board is very important. Talking to people is very important. And I'll move to the next box, which is the high context communication. Here we talk a lot. People are very close. People, they need to hear about what's going on. And it's very important to share on frequent basis how the project is running, to share everything with everybody, right? From your neighbor in the office to the hierarchy to your N-1, N-2 communication. We live in a high context communication environment. Relationships are very important. Strategic relationships are very important. And people, and actually, when we say managing hearts and minds, it has a meaning in here. We're not talking about the mind before, but we're talking about the heart. So if people adhere to your personality, projects usually, they go to success, right? Time. Well, people always say, okay, we are late, etc. Well, in France, we have le quart d'heure de politesse, Mélanie, right? So in here, okay, so if you're like late for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's okay. People, this is part of the dynamics, right? You can push for people being on time, which is okay. They will adhere, but definitely this is not the issue, but the issue becomes harder when you have deadlines, you see. So this is where really, some of the big difficulties, with the cultural adjustment that is needed, comes into play or into game in here. So some of the adjustments you need to do. So basically, if the deadline is after tomorrow, no, the deadline is tomorrow, right? So you adjust your communication, you adjust your deadlines so that you reach, this kind of I would say, equilibrium and balance in the way you manage your projects. In this part of the world. Something very important, which is preserving the face and the dignity, right? That's very important. offending people in public, it's really, you know, what kills any successful project. I know this is common to many cultures, etc. But here, you know, kind of being blunt as we intended, you know, putting things straight into the face is offending. And when people are offended, forget about, you know, your project going to the next level. Definitely, some cultural adjustments are needed. And when I say cultural adjustments, this does not mean compromising your projects or the quality assurance you are going for. And actually, that's what I have learned from my last 20, 25 years, you know, in roaming in the region, is that you could reach your objectives by adopting different ways, different methodologies, and different communication styles with people. Of course, this is a simplification of the context. You know, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for people who are coming, you know, from the region. Definitely, there are too many other boxes that we need to discuss. But for the sake of time, for the sake of getting the essential, these are, I found, from my perspective, you know, some of the most relevant, I would say, items that I wanted to share with you today.
And these, if I may also, are very
Yes.
important for people like ourselves, consultants, I mean, working with schools from different countries. That we really need to adapt to the way things are done and, you know, cannot impose. And also, I just want to go back to the continuous improvement approach, depending on the country. And I found that institutions from Saudi Arabia, from the Emirates, from Jordan, they really have that quality-focused approach. Whereas I've seen countries more in Asia, I would say, that are very result-focused. You know, like the example I was referring to earlier. So I think in the Gulf, I don't know about North Africa because it's a little bit of both, I guess. Depending on the schools, depending on the individuals, depending on how your quality assurance is already in place in your school, you know, there are so many factors. But I think that if you focus on quality and on continuous improvement, it's not that it doesn't matter, but cultural differences should not impact that aspect. That's what I'm trying to say. That the continuous improvement should be your motor.
No, definitely, I agree with you. I totally agree with you, Mélanie. The result is the same. You know, we are all seeking this quality assurance and quality improvement and excellence, even to go beyond the quality assurance, excellence assurance, right? Then this cultural adaptation, they will come. But, you know, the back mind would be having the quality as central pillar to all the projects that are put in place. And here, data plays an important role, right? The people who are leading the projects are very important in that. Why is that? Because let me tell you, Mélanie, compared to the Gulf, to Jordan, in North Africa, and once again, it's a generalization, you know, of North Africa. North Africa itself is different, right? Here we are talking about like monoblock organizations, right? Almost all the people, they behave the same, right? When you go to the Gulf, you have people coming from all over the world, and that's the difficulty of this multicultural management. And I would say that would facilitate, here it's in the advantage, you know, of having these quality assurance systems in place. When you have normative frameworks in place, it facilitates, you know, this difference between people. It really helps reduce the difference between people. The good thing about North Africa is that as of today, there are too many, I would say, governmental agencies or government itself, like ministries of higher education, they are pushing for quality assurance. So here in Egypt, for instance, there is a nice initiative, I would say, just discovered like a couple of months ago, which is called Naqai or Naqa. So this initiative basically is an initiative of local accreditation, similar to what we are doing, Mélanie, with high focus on the quality assurance, the learning path of the students, and obviously, you know, there is too much data to put into on the table to reach the standards of this quality assurance initiative. Okay. Well,
we have someone asking, and I'm sorry, who's asking, could you please spell the name of the framework you were mentioning right now?
Okay, I'll spell it in Arabic. I don't know who asked this from which region.
No,
it's called
France.
From France. It's called Nakai. Nakai. Voilà, I'm trying to put it en français. Il y en a là. It's an initiative that is led by N-A-Q-A-I.
Oh, Q-A-I.
I may send you this later on. I don't have the, let me see. No, I don't have the brochure in here, but it's called Nakai. It's N-A-Q-A-I.
Good.
Thank you. You're welcome. So let me get back to the transformation related to the leadership. Of course, you know, some common ground, some reminding, you know, everybody about this. You have to be like purpose driven, sharing, you know, what are you doing with the team that you have around you. Once again, we are in a high communication context. Communication is very, very important in this part of the world. Very, very important, right? Inclusiveness. You have to get people around, and people are happy, you know, when they engage. You see, sometimes, you know, even somebody who is not involved directly in the project, but when you get back to his advice or his opinion about the project, it really helps a lot, because, you know, this somebody will help you, you know, to disentangle some other tensions in the organizations with other people. Voilà, strategic relationships, very important, adaptive communication, very high context communication, phased implementations, not everything at once. Talk to people, talk, communicate. That's very important for the success of any quality assurance project in here. You do not just come and, okay, guys, we're going for accreditations. Oops, what does it mean, accreditation? Oops, it's frightening. No, it is not frightening. This is what it is about, you know, the why of what we are doing this, and the how of the project. Of course, empowering the local, I would say, champions that are here, you know, because sometimes you come from different context, different country, like it or not, you are foreigner to the culture, foreigner to the codes, foreigner to the relationships. So you have to take your time, and obviously, the more you empower the local brains, the people who are around you, local. I see it's not just about the locality of the region, but the locality of the organization itself. You know, because around you, definitely there are good people. There are people who have done too many things. Maybe it is not not using the same language as we are used to in quality assurance, but definitely if you dig a little bit further, you'll find that people have done too many nice things. Now, what we need to do is to put the right terminology to the right project that are in place. So before finishing, you know, this brief presentation, this is a nice framework I like. It's a framework. This framework is called the Entrepreneurial Operating System. Was done by Williams in 2011. It's about vision, people, data, issues, processes, and the last one is the traction. You'll pull everybody with you. The vision, it goes without saying. You know, as soon as you arrive, you explain why you are here. What are you doing? This is your vision. In the upcoming 5 years, that's what we are going to have. Quality assurance, it's something embedded in what we are doing. Why is that? Because it will lead us to continuous improvement. It is not just for today. If we are doing student assessment and assessment of learning of the students, it is not just for this semester. No, we are building on that next semester, the semester after, and then we'll have our assessment report, and on which we will build, our trajectory to change the curriculum, to change the next learning outcomes, and obviously, it will impact, other spheres like the research and the connection with the industry. Definitely the second pillar, people. That's very important. As I always say, leading these accreditation projects and quality assurance projects are not just about documentation, as many people think. No, it is really much more profound than that, and people are the key. So now here you have to get the right people in the right seats. You have to get the right people who are willing, to engage in that. And believe it or not, because usually we talk about resistance to change, but we never talk about people who are eager to change. Because there are people who would like to go for this quality assurance. Because there are people who, I wouldn't say understand, but who believe in, when embarking in a quality assurance project, when we put criteria for selecting our faculty members, when we put criteria for our research, when we put criteria for the curriculum design, there are some people who like that. And these are the people with whom you will build what comes next. Definitely here we go back to a central element in any organization, the blood of any organization, data. And actually, in all the institutions I've been in and through, data was always a challenge, right? Even as of today, data is a big challenge. But the more you structure your information, the more you end up with usable data that helps progress. And the good side about data is the objectivity of the data. Obviously, you will tell me you can make the data say what you wanted to say. Yes, we could. But definitely, when you use the data properly, data is objective. Right? 1 is 1, according to the same conceptual framework we have. 2 is 2, right?
You just need to get the right number from the right people.
Exactly. But this is the information systems that you need basically to build. And here, Mélanie, this sends me to once again to the previous block, which is the people. Because you cannot run a quality assurance project without embarking your IT teams, without embarking your registrar, without embarking, your faculty members. So all is interrelated, and data centralizes all these challenges, I would say, right?
I have to say that in all the schools that I've worked with, no matter the size, no matter the country, I haven't met one school where data management is something that's easy. But I have to say that the schools where it works the best are the schools where, as you say, that second step, where the people are involved. And I'm not just talking about accreditations here. I'm just talking about everything. Like I see many schools who always ask, okay, what's the right tool? What's the right software to manage your data? It's not about software. Honestly, you could have an amazing data management system with Excel, Exactly. Just as long as you have a structure, as long as you have a strategy about data management, who is it for? What, how is it going to be used? Are different people asking for the same data? Just have to have like a clear overview about data. So I would say that with the strategy of accreditation or the strategy of quality comes the strategy about data management. It's not just a tool that you use for quality it is a strategic imperative itself. And it's usually overlooked, and it causes a lot of trouble to a lot of schools.
Yes, definitely. I couldn't agree more, Mélanie, because you're sending me back, 15 or 20 years back, when we started dealing with these first accreditations, and we've done this with Excel spreadsheets. It was a hassle, But definitely before the Excel spreadsheet, you need to structure what you need as data and who is responsible for this data, who is the owner, and those of you who are in the information systems would grasp these challenges about the data. But definitely data is an issue. I would say it's a nice issue that if it is worked properly, it really helps. It really helps. And actually, I have a meeting right after this with our data consignee to double check on the dashboard that I need for decision making. So then we have the issues. Okay, so here are the issues that we have to address the issues. Definitely, and this is, like the self-assessment report is very important in that, talking openly with people, pinpointing the problems where they are is very important so that you could move to the next step, which is putting in place clear processes. If you're talking about the I would say, whatever processes we have in our academic management, starting from the hiring to the assessment of learning of our students, yes, we need to document that because, without documentation, it's always a problem. I am an accountant. I like, putting things on a paper sheet, but definitely, when you write your processes, it helps a lot. Combining all this will lead to the traction, right? So it is not just one pillar, it's a series of pillars, it's a series of people, it's a series of feelings, it's a series of objective data, it's a series of subjectivity in here, but definitely combining all this will give the edge to have this traction to move to the next level. Okay, so this is about, nice, simple model, I would put it like that. So that you move forward with these accreditation and quality assurance projects you have in your institutions.
It's simple, but it's very efficient.
Sorry, you were saying?
It's simple indeed, but it's very efficient. If you take one step after the next one, you have it all written down. It's everything.
Yes, definitely. It's
and it has to come from the deanship, really.
Definitely. So here the role, because these kind of projects, they need the top a tone from the top, because if the upper level is not buying this project or thinking that this project is just a matter of having on a push of a button or a software, or in 1 year we're going to have all this done, okay, no need to go for these continuous improvement, no need to go, for this mapping. It's a nice journey, but it needs that we believe in this nice journey. And this is about strategic planning. It's very important. If you take any accreditation, big accreditation agency, you'll find that chapter 1 or standard 1 is about strategic planning. So you strategize, you put your plan. I was to say, 5 years, but after what happened in 2021, I don't know whether 5 years are still, the right period, for strategizing for 5 years. But let's say, for 4 years, you put where you would like to go, your goals, your objectives, and you start working on all these facets of the framework, and things will be done. This is the beauty of the journey, and that's what I was saying to my team in at the beginning of this week. Is that today you might not see the change, but look, in 1 year from now you'll see a little bit of change. 2 years from now you'll see an incremental change. 3 years from now you'll see, wow, we were there and today we are here. So it needs, like, to get everybody on board, and with the right, vision, with the right leadership, with the right data, with the right processes, things will be very good. So just to conclude, obviously, leadership is very important. It goes without saying. Accreditation is a transformative journey. It is not an improvised, and I like this word, it is not an improvised project. It is not like, okay, let's sit in an office, let's go for accreditation. No, it needs to be discussed at the upper level of the unit, whether it is the business school or it is the university council or the dean's council, but it needs to be discussed at the higher level, because tone from the top, sorry, is very important for the success of this journey. And we mean it when we say journey, it's a journey. Then we have the call to action for our colleagues in the Middle East in here, in the Middle Eastern institution, because we have very nice institutions, let me tell you, very complex institution, that goes without saying. But when it comes to quality, I believe, from what I've seen, from my little experience in the region and in here, is that there is the will to do things the proper way. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
And while we're waiting for questions, I will just stress again how the role of the dean is essential. And I also see that according to the schools, I work with, the projects that are the smoothest are the ones where the dean is involved and the dean is present at the meetings. Sometimes, these documents, I'm looking at your document and I'm just saying this document. The meetings where we only have the accreditation team from the start, because, deans are very busy, so that's a fact. You cannot be at every single meeting about accreditation, but to initiate the project, I think it's very important, and it shows your team also that you're engaged. It's not something that you give your accreditation people or your faculty saying, okay, deal with it. And when we have deans involved from the start, the process is really smoother. It's easier to get information. It's easier to get things moving. And if something gets stuck somewhere, and we cannot really resolve it with the people because there are layers of hierarchy sometimes, well, then we have direct access to the dean, and it really helps. So make sure that it's a journey that you start and that you engage everyone with.
Yes, definitely, Mélanie. If I may add on this, just to share, great case study on how I'm handling, the issues of accreditations. Once again, accreditations or quality assurance is the core of accreditations. This goes without saying, but accreditation is not the end per se, but it's the framework that helps to lead this change that you undertake in your institution. As of today, the director of accreditation I have in my institution, she sits in my dean's council. She's as important as any associate dean, right? Because she is, I would say, today the only person that have transversal view, 360 degrees view on what's going on in the institution. And I always say, she is the only one who knows how I'm thinking. Well, so far, I hope the others will follow, but as of today, she is one of the most important persons. When I say Dean's Council, so basically it's the equivalent of comics in France, so that we say that we believe, it's a message that we're sending to everybody, is that quality is the essence, is the core of what we are doing.
Exactly. Couldn't say it better. And yes, same thing about what you're saying about schools where the associate dean for accreditations does not sit on the executive committee or whatever managerial committee there is at the school, and then they have no voice. And I see that with a lot of schools, a lot of French schools actually, because accreditation is really something that is set apart from the normal doings and operations of the school. It's like, okay, you in your corner in your office, do your job, get your accreditation. And a lot of schools don't give the people enough credit for what they're doing. And accreditations need a voice. they need to be heard by the dean and by everyone else, all the other associate deans, all the other services. So it's very important to include your accreditation people if you have them, because I know that a lot of your schools are even not engaged in the process yet or thinking about it. So these are the things that you might want to think about right now, about how you're going to structure your team around accreditations. And another thing that I wanted to say is that if you're not engaged yet in the process or are just getting started, I would say that even before starting your eligibility, do a gap analysis or have it done by someone just to make sure that your school is aligned or can be aligned in a normal timeline. I would say I'm thinking about ACSB, it's a very long process. It can take up to 7 years, sometimes more, because you have to start over because you were not ready. So before starting the eligibility, which actually starts the clock, take a look or have someone have a look at your institution, how you are organized, how's your faculty, what about qualifications. Let them have a meeting with the dean and see if they are engaged in the project, because this is what we're talking about, really. And if the gap analysis shows that it's only one project among others that's been handed off to someone, then the person doing the gap analysis will be able to say, okay, you need more involvement from top management to make this work. And here are your strengths, here are your weaknesses, and you might want to focus on that before getting started. And it starts with that vision, really. And a lot of schools already have a mission, but also have someone kind of review your mission and make sure that it makes sense to your school, what you're doing, because some schools have a mission. It's pretty, but sometimes in their operations, it doesn't really show that. You cannot really recognize the mission in whatever the school is doing, its programs, its faculty qualifications, its research topics. So it's important to make sure that everything is aligned or can be aligned pretty easily, because if you, let's say if you have a very strong research focus on something and it's not apparent in your mission, then you can still change your mission. However, if you're strongly rooted in your mission and you have to change your research focus, it's going to take more time, because you will need to recruit the right faculty, have them work on that specific field. So a lot to think of when you get started in accreditations, really. And last thing also I wanted to say was about quality processes that you already have in place due to your national and governmental accreditation systems. Usually you have them, and usually they are very demanding in terms of data, in terms of outcomes assessment and everything. So you also want to make sure that you don't overdo it for the international accreditation that you want to obtain. Don't start a separate system. Use what you're doing. Usually it matches. It doesn't look that way, but usually it matches. You can take key elements of your national system to make it match to the international one. So make sure that you don't have separate systems that will add to the process, and you will just lose people. It will just feel like more work. So this also helps as part of your gap analysis to look at what you're doing currently for your national system. I think I'd said it all. So if you have questions or comments, or if you want to show someone's writing, we will wait for the, or you can actually open your mic and just make your comment or ask your question directly if you want. I haven't disabled the microphone, so you can just turn it on. Or keep writing. That's also fine.
Sure. Now, what I may add, Mélanie, for this accreditation project. So basically, put accreditations with the S in your strategic planning. Why is that? Choosing the accreditation per se is also a strategic decision, because today, let's be clear, there is a plethora of labels and accreditations, right? So once you engage, choose the one with which you are willing to engage, because it's a long-term engagement with whatever agency you are going for. It's a long-term engagement. And then it's a matter of resources, the decision, whether should we go as a faculty-driven accreditations and we put all the admin burden on our teams as faculty who are leading. So I've experienced both models, and there is no model better than the other. So it all depends on your available resources. So the accreditation, either it is a faculty, administrative speaking, faculty-driven, project with somebody from the outside, like Mélanie and HEADway was supporting, or you'll have like your fully fledged office of accreditations, and then you have also to build this office of accreditations. If you are going to have one person leading all the accreditations, then I can tell you that you'll be in trouble. So now you have to decide which accreditation you're going for, what are the resources.
You're cutting off a little bit.
No more, no less.
Yes. And also that's part of the initial analysis that we sometimes do for schools. And sometimes, when they have just a project of an accreditation, we help them make sure that it's the right accreditation for them.
Sure.
So we have a comment saying, I think the accreditation according international frameworks such as ISO 21001 for the educational organizations management systems is more reliable than accreditation according to national accreditation bodies. Do you agree that the ISO system is more reliable? I think it's a different system, personally.
Definitely, that's what I'm gonna say. ISO is an international recognized framework, so we're not different from that. Usually, the national accreditations, they are tailored to the national needs. Then it's a matter of perception, and it's a matter of positioning of your institution. That's why, once again, I insist on the fact that embarking for accreditation is a strategic project. Today, if you'd like your institution to be positioned as an international institution, okay, what is the impact of going for national accreditation if, big part of your activities will be with the international? Because with the international, you need a proxy so that your institution is recognized as an institution of quality, right? And usually these international accreditations, ISO or others, they are international proxies that are recognized, in the UK, in France, in Japan, etc. Now, usually for the national accreditations, it's kind of a mandate by the ministries of higher education. Let's not forget that. Sometimes, now you go for the Gulf, in France, to get les labels, and to get, you have to go through these national exercises because you're obliged to.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So it depends on where you position your institution.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure what you mean about being reliable, because I feel that they're not exactly looking at the same things. And ISO is very, I'm not going to say strict, but very data-driven, very...
process-oriented.
Yes, process-oriented. Whereas accreditations such as ACSB or EQUIS or even EFMD program accreditation, they look at different things, and ACSB, for example, really allows you to advocate for yourself, for the type of institutions you are and how you meet the standards, not just try to fit in the standard, just explain who you are, why you are the way you are, and why you do the things you do. all related to your mission. That's why I was also talking about the mission and its importance. So to me, it's really two different exercises of looking at yourself. And I think you have more auto-reflection or self-reflection when you have those international accreditations rather than ISO. ISO is very process-oriented. And you were talking about resources and about schools starting their accreditation departments within the schools. So this is tricky because, as you know, there are no training, like no diploma in accreditation management. So this is also something that I have to struggle with when I try to hire new consultants, because I obviously need people with expertise, but then they are really sought after among all the schools. So it is a challenge. And training is a challenge. So usually you kind of learn by doing. That's how I've done it. That's how a lot of accreditation people have done it. And so it's a trick. But if I may advertise a little, we have just launched a new offer that is actually just, ooh, help. Do you see my screen? If I do this, does it work?
Make it bigger.
I'm not sure I can make it bigger though.
Yes, actually go to the alors attends, paramètres d'affichage.
Oh no, because no, I see what's happening. I have the wrong screen. Sorry.
Okay.
Because I was that's the joys of PowerPoint and presenting PowerPoint in a Teams meeting. So let me try again. If I do this and I do that, now it should work.
Yes, there you go.
Now you have the big screen. So we have started this Pocket Expert offer. Basically, it's just to guide schools, because usually the offer or services we provide are more substantial, you know, in terms of time that we put in or of budget. Or so this is a lighter offer where you have like a monthly subscription, or you know, and then you can just ask the questions that you want to ask. You don't have to have like one specific topic, whereas as opposed to what we usually do, if you hire a consultant, usually hire them to train your faculty or to write your reports or to help you write your reports. So these are very specific topics. And with this, we wanted to provide a solution that's much more flexible and much more affordable for schools. So just know that if you start your accreditation process and you have a new accreditation team, well, then that's an option to help them through their project management. So I was just, this is new. That's why I'm talking about it today.
Interesting.
So I think this is it for today. If you don't have any more questions, we will see you for the third webinar of the series on July 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sorry, I just need to check the theme. I wasn't prepared. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, here it is. I think so. We have all, yes. Oh no, July 1st. I'm sorry. Tuesday, July 1st, same time. So, no, yes, same time.
Same
And
time.
it will be about increasing stakeholder engagement in quality assurance, because once you have your share the upcoming event invitation. I haven't created the link yet. I'm sorry, but you will receive it because you've attended that one. You will automatically receive the invitation for the next one. So no worries.
It's like the accreditations. Once you are in, you cannot be out.
Yes,
so once
exactly.
you register, you are in.
Then you'll know everything. So
Sure.
yes, increasing stakeholder engagement in quality assurance is another challenge. Once you have aligned your vision, your strategy about accreditation, you have your team, how do you make it happen and how do you engage your different stakeholders? So that's a big one.
So now we are going to talk about the block people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we will see you again July 1st. Thank you, Helmi, for
You're
giving a
welcome.
great presentation again. It's always very inspiring, and I hope you learned something and that you can also share with people at your school.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you for the initiative. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye. Bye.